So today we're going to talk about the diamond formation and what plays you can run out of the diamond formation. And we're going to touch on two plays. One is going to be off of play action, and one's going to be a run pass option, I guess you could say. It's called the inverted Veer play. It's kind of going to be a spin off of the traditional Veer play. So those two plays, the inverted Veer and the play action, we're going to talk about today. And how to run it out of the diamond formation. And yeah, let's get started. So this right here, what I've drawn up is the diamond formation. You can kind of see you've got your, I'll just tell you what the letters mean right here. Your X and Z receivers, your O lineman, your 5 O lineman here, your quarterback. You've got a halfback on your left, you've got a tailback on behind you, and then you've got your Y receiver. So what these letters mean, these X, Y, and Z, is X is usually going to be your best receiver, and X is usually lined up on the back side of the formation. So it's going to be, or rather, the weak side. So X is usually going to be on the weak side, Z is going to be on the strong side, and then Y is either going to be your tight end or it's going to be your slot receiver. And yeah, that's basically what those letters mean. So this is what the diamond formation looks like, and we're going to, again, talk about some plays that you can run out of this look on offense, right? So our first one, like I mentioned, is going to be something called the inverted Veer play. So the inverted Veer play is basically a spin off of the traditional Veer play, which would normally be something you see out of, I guess, Russell Wilson in Seattle or Cam Newton when he was on the Panthers, when you've got a mobile quarterback and it's basically a run pass option. So what the quarterback's going to do is once he gets the ball, he's going to have the option. He's going to read a player. He's going to read a defensive end, right? So we're going to set our ends up here. Tackle, and our end, right? And he's going to read one of these ends depending on which way he wants to go. And if the end goes inside, then he's going to fake the handoff to his tailback coming from behind him, and he's going to pull wide. Or if the end stays out wide, then as the tailback's coming up, he's going to let him have it, and it's just going to be a normal run play. So that's what the traditional Veer play is. It's basically the halfback or running back, tailback, whatever you want to call him. He's going to be getting the ball if the defender stays wide, and if the end pinches in, then the quarterback's going to go wide. But in the inverted Veer, it's going to be a bit different. What the quarterback is going to do is he's again going to read an end, but it's going to be if the end pinches, then he is going to give it to a halfback coming across, and we'll talk about this in more detail. I just want to give you a quick overview. If the end comes inside, he's going to give it to a halfback coming across, and if the end stays out wide, then the quarterback, he's just going to keep it. He has the option to pass it as well, and we'll get into all that good stuff pretty soon. But the first thing I want to put out here as I start to explain this is that I'm going to explain it by responsibility for each position, or each position group rather. So I'm going to talk about the responsibility of the O lineman here, then I'm going to talk about the responsibility of each receiver, and then I'm going to talk about the most important part of the play and kind of the focal point of the play and how to execute it. So let's begin with the O lineman. The O lineman is basically, they have a pretty simple responsibility. Everyone's going to be plugging the inside gap. So, you know what? Let me go ahead and draw up linebackers before I do this. We're going to have a Will, a Mike, and a Sam. And then we're going to have our corners right here. And then let's say we've got a single high look. So this is going to be our free safety right here, right? And we're going to have a Sam and a strong safety. So we're going to have, basically, we're going to have a 8-man box, which means that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defenders in the box here. So that means they've got 4 and 4, and you've got a single high look, which means a single safety on top. If it were a double high look or a 2 high look, there would be 2 safeties, right? And that would basically pulling this strong safety up, right? And then you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you'd have a 7-man box. But this play, I'm going to teach it running off a single high look. So responsibility of the O lineman, they're gonna be going inside, plugging the inside gaps, right? So we're gonna pull everyone except for this guy right here. He's gonna stay man to man with the end because if pulling inside, right? So this is inwards, right? So this guy's going to stay man on man. Everyone else is going to plug inside because if he plugs inside, this end is going to come loose off the edge. So O lineman, everyone's plugging inside except for this guy. He's got man on man. You know, so that takes care of these 4 defenders, and we've got an extra man to spare. So if someone blitzes, right, we can still pick them up. So if one of these 4 guys they come through, we can still pick them up. Then moving on to the next position, it's going to be Z. So we're going to talk about this receiver right here. Pretty simple. He's just going to block his man, his corner. We're not going to really talk about the corners too much today. And the 2 plays that we talk about, they're going to kind of be on the fringes of the play. So we're not going to touch on them too much. Now we're going to move to the Y. So what the Y is going to do, he's usually going to be a tight end. He's going to kind of make an arced inside route. So he's going to come inside, right? Now we have our tailback, which is a very important route that he's going to run. It's going to eventually turn into a block. If this strong safety comes, this tailback, he's going to block him, right? At any point, if the strong safety comes, he's going to block him. If he doesn't, if the strong safety does not come, the tailback can go up and he can block high up the field, right? And if the play breaks down, you can keep running, look for a pass, right? Now, the X, he's going to run post on the backside, right? Again, corner, our 2 fringe receivers and our corners, they're not going to be very important right now. The 2 main positions that we want to look at right now, or in this play, are going to be the quarterback and the halfback, right? So, let's talk about the quarterback. What he's going to do, the quarterback, he is going to read the play side end. Play side means the way the play is going, so that's going to be to the right. I'll explain. So he's going to read this end right here. We're going to circle him, and this end is going to basically determine what we do on this play, whether we give the ball to a running back, whether the quarterback keeps the ball and he runs, or whether he passes. So what's going to happen is the quarterback is going to read the play side end, this guy right here, this edge, and if the edge pinches in, if the end pinches in, if he comes inside, the quarterback's going to get the ball, and this halfback, he's going to be running across, okay? And he's going to, basically, it's almost going to be like a jet sweep, right? Halfback's going to be coming across. If the end pinches, now this whole side is exposed, right? Because we've got the tailback blocking the strong safety. We've got our receiver blocking the corner. This end is out of the way because he's come in. We're going to hand it off to our halfback, and he's going to fly, right? Now, if the end does not pinch and he stays wide, because he wants to contain this edge, he wants to set the edge, and he wants to play out here and not fill inside. What we're going to do is we're going to have the quarterback keep the ball, and he's going to run up the middle. Pretty simple, right? Because if the edge is not plugging the middle of the line and he's not coming inside, that means there's going to be a hole right here because he's going to stay outside. So the quarterback, he can make a run right there. Again, you can flip this play to the opposite side, so basically have everyone do what I guess the player on the opposite side of the field is doing. So the X, then he would be here. This would be the X because this is going to be the weak side. The Z would be here. The Z would still block. This halfback would be coming across this way. The quarterback would be running here. The tailback would be pressing the strong safety over here. So everything would just be flipped, right? So you can flip how the play works, but the main point is that you're going to put this end in a bind. He's going to be forced to make a decision because if he goes inside, we're just going to give to the halfback and he's going to run. And if he stays outside, the quarterback can go up and try to make a play. So you see this oftentimes, or you used to see it really often with Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch in Seattle. Wilson still does it pretty often, but it was pretty common when he had Lynch in the backfield because people used to respect Lynch and the run game in Seattle. a lot more back then. So they'd be plugging inside to stop the run, and Wilson would just take off, right? And they also, you see the inverted veer, again with Cam Newton, and he did that a lot in Carolina. So we're going to move on to our second play to run out of the diamond formation. Again, this is called the inverted veer, like that. But we are going to move on to our second play, and that's going to be a play action play. There's not really a name for this. It's just a concept that you can run. And the way I'm going to explain this is, again, by responsibility of each position. Let's get rid of these arrows. We want to keep the players because we don't have to draw them up again. It's probably just easier, right? Do this. All right. All right, so we've got our formation again. We've got our diamond here, as you can see. And this play is going to be a play action play. So the first thing I want to do is tell you right now that I'm going to be explaining it in two different ways, or two different looks rather. Depending on which look the defense gives you, we're going to run it a different way. So there's going to be two options, I guess you could say. It's basically going to be based off a two high look that we have right now, and then we're going to go to a single high look later. So let's focus on the two high look right now. Again, a 7-man box, you got a 4-3. And now I'm going to explain by position group, by skill group, what's going to be going on. So first of all, the offensive line and protection. What we're going to do with the offensive line and protection is, it's actually, instead of just being 5 men in protection, we're going to have 7 men in protection. Again, that means max protect. I think I mentioned that in a previous video. But again, 7 men protecting is going to be something called max protect, because if you've got 7 protecting and you've got a quarterback, that's 8 people, right? And if you've got 11 people on the field at a time per team, that's going to just leave you with 3 other guys. So they're going to be running routes, or they're kind of coming in motion to give a fake handoff, whatever it is. You got 3 other guys. So you really shouldn't be using more guys to protect than 7. If you go 8, then you don't really have guys to go and catch the ball or run the ball for you, or not enough. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is, we're going to have, again, 7 men protect, max protect, and what's going to happen is the offensive line is going to slide left. So we'll put right here. Slide left, which means these 5 guys, they're going to move left. And each one is going to move their gap, right? What I mean by that is, this guy is going to basically slide when the play starts to this guy's position. This guy's going to move to the center's position. Center's going to move to the guard's position. The guard's going to move to the tackle's position. Tackle's going to move outside. That means that all the gaps have basically been, they've been opened up on the right side because you've slid left. This would be an A gap. This would be a B gap. This would be a C gap. But now that you've slid left, you don't really have this guy anymore because he's taking this position, right? So now you've got an open C gap here and a D gap here. It's kind of tricky to understand, but if the offensive line is sliding to the left, that means there's going to be one more open space. There's going to be an open space earlier when you're going across from left to right. So that means this is going to be an A, B, C, D, right? That's very important to understand because those gaps on the outside, the C's and the D's, they're going to be filled by our tailback and our halfback. And those are going to make up our 7-man protection. Our halfback and our tailback is going to go, and it's going to be five offensive linemen with our halfback and our tailback, 5 + 2, 7, and we're going to have 7-man protecting. So let's draw it up real quick. What's going to happen is the halfback, he's going to come across, and he's going to plug right here, okay? This is going to be the D gap. So D gap. This tailback, it's kind of hard to draw here. I made my drawings too close together. But this is basically going to be our C gap. I might erase these because it might take up too much space. But if you understand, the tailback's going to go here. It's going to be our C gap here. And our halfback's going to come further outside of the tailback, and he's going to plug our D gap. So anything coming from this edge, right, we have to stop. Because since our line had slid left, this strong side of the formation is exposed. We don't have as many people to block. So now we got to bring some guys to our right to shore up that right side, that strong side. So let us talk about our receivers. So let's start with Z. He's going to run a post. So he's just going to go, pretty bad post, but anyways. The Y, he's going to run a wheel route. So he's going to kind of come here. And our X is going to run a drag. So it's going to kind of be like coming across, right? Almost like a shallow cross, but not really. So our clue here is going to be, who's going to be our focal point? It's going to be the strong safety. And it's going to be this guy right here. Right? Just like the edge was our guy who we were reading in the inverted Veer play, the strong safety is going to be the guy that the quarterback reads excuse me, in the play action play right here. So what's going to happen is, if the strong safety rolls up, plugging, I guess, should probably draw him a bit lower down so it makes more sense. If he rolls up to plug this giant hole right here that the post is going into, that the Z is going into, then we're going to have the Y on the Sam. This Sam and the Y, because the Y is going to be running the wheel. No one is out here to guard him but the Sam, and that's usually going to be a favorable a matchup, because it's going to be usually our slot receiver or a tight end, and it's going to be pretty big body tight end or slot receiver. He's going to be on a linebacker who might not have the speed to match our receiver on the wheel route. And it's going to be a one-on-one situation, right? So the minute this guy rolls here, right, doubling the post with the corner, and this area is taken care of, we've got up the sideline, we've got a one-on-one matchup with the Sam. Now, if the strong safety does not roll, and he pinches underneath, the strong safety, he comes down underneath, then we're going to have the post one-on-one with the corner, because this spot is still open. And so if he comes down here, right, to match the Y, and the Sam, let's say the Sam blitzes, right? So the Sam comes. The strong safety is going to be on the Y. The Z is going to be one-on-one into the post. So that is how we're going to read this play action play off, again, a too high look. Now, real quick, I don't want to make this video too long. I might have already, but we're going to move to a single high look, which means, again, one safety at the top, Our Sam is still here. And now we've got a fourth linebacker, well, a fourth player in the box. Our strong safety has creeped down. So we've got, again, 4 edge tackle, tackle edge, Will, Mike, Sam, strong safety. We've got an 8-man box, and we've got a single high look. Again, don't worry about the corners too much. They're not really important right now. But what's going to happen is in this situation where you've got a 8-man box and a single high look, is the routes are going to be the same. So the Z is still going to run the post, the Y is still going to run the wheel, and our halfback, tailback is still going to block, and the X is still going to run the drag. If the free safety creeps down, so if he's coming down underneath to play the run, right? Because like we just talked about, we want to make this connection between the two plays. I'm not just throwing out 2 random plays right now. When I talked about the inverted veer, that's usually it's going to be a run play, right? Because the quarterback's going to get the ball. Rarely is he going to break down. We're going to have to pass the ball. We hope that it doesn't, right? So it's usually going to be a run play most of the time. The quarterback's going to either keep the ball or he's going to give it to the halfback, right? If we start getting a bunch of yards off that play, then the defense is going to start having to respect that play, and they're going to have to start to respect our run game. And that means they're going to bring more people down to the box. That's why they brought the strong safety down to the box. That's what transitions this whole thing, this 2 high look, into a single high look now. So now you've got the free safety up here. But they still want to shore up the run, so they're going to bring the free safety down just a bit, right? Once the play starts, the free safety is going to roll, right? If that happens, pretty simple. The hole, instead of being here, is now going to be in the middle of the field because the free safety's crept down. We can put the ball over the top, put some air under it, hit Z on the post, right? That's what happens if the free safety comes down. We're going to hit Z on the post over the top. If the free safety stays high, again, it's a pretty similar concept, but our guy's going to be on a different player. That's the only difference. If this free safety stays high, and he stays in the middle of the field, we're going to have our Y running the wheel route again, but it's going to be on the strong safety. And usually, if our Y is a tight end, it's not going to be a good matchup for the defense. It's going to be a good matchup for us because it's going to be our tight end on strong safety. Especially if it's a slot receiver, we can get him. Maybe he's quick out in space, get him off on the wheel. Maybe you can even incorporate a little rub route if he's coming out real quick. But that's what's going to happen if the free safety stays back and he plays kind of like center field. It's a favorable matchup for us with the Y on the strong safety. Again, keep in mind, we have slid left, and we're keeping a 7-man protection, not for no reason, and not just because we slid left, but we're having so many men to protect because it's a play-action play. The halfback's going to come across, right? I mean, obviously, as he comes across, he can either fake the handoff here, or he can fake the handoff to the tailback as he's coming wide. Wherever you want to incorporate your play action there, but it's going to take time it is going to take time to develop. So that's why we're going to need enough protection, because if we don't give our quarterback enough time to throw the ball, the play is not going to develop, right? And we also got, if we're trying to take a deep shot, we got a wheel down the sideline, we got a deep post. We got to give our receivers time to get down the field. So that's why we've got 7 protection, max protection, and 7 men back here. And you got to remember that we're going to slide left. Our strong side is exposed. So this guy slides. This edge is going to rush off. We've got to have our halfback blocking the C gap, or our tailback blocking the C gap, our halfback coming outside blocking the D gap in case maybe something like the Sam decides to blitz, right? And that's basically going to be how we're going to play off a single high structure look given by the defense, how we can use the play action to our advantage, and how we can use it to protect our inverted veer play, right? Our run plays, we're going to make the defense respect the run game, and, when they start creeping up to respect the run game, we can, throw it over the top on a post, on a wheel, stuff like that. So, I hope you guys learned something with these 2 plays, the inverted veer and the play action. Again, you're running these out of the diamond formation, right? The diamond formation, you got your halfback, your Y, your tailback, and your quarterback, five linemen. That'll do it for today's video. Again, some examples of inverted veer being heavily incorporated into the system was with Cam Newton in Carolina, and Russell Wilson in Seattle. So thank you.